Marcus, fill it out.
Okay, so imagine being forced into a situation in which you have no room, no space of your own, and not having the ability to be loved and accepted, but rather waiting for the day that you're going to die, and essentially not getting a choice. As a society that provides human rights and supports that and advocates for that, we should be advocating for those who don't have a voice, such as animals in our animal shelters. I've volunteered in animal shelters and have my pets of my own, and I have seen what happens when shelters get overcrowded, and shelters tend to euthanize when that happens. By building an animal shelter in Frisco, there will be more economic and social opportunities for its citizens as well as its animals. Since I've given you a glimpse into this problem, let's discuss more of the details of this issue. The Collin County Animal Shelter, who is under contract with the City of Frisco, is overcrowded and considering euthanizing animals in order to make room. This animal shelter is a no-kill shelter, and we have had a contract with them for over 10 years. Our contract started in 2006, according to a newspaper written on community impact in 2019, and we pay about $312,000 a year to keep this contract with them. This shelter has been overcrowded by 125% max capacity, and like I said, is at high risk for euthanizing its animals because they don't have the room to store all of them. And as I mentioned, this shelter is a no-kill shelter, and the only reason they are even considering killing these animals is due to the overcrowded. Because it is at high risk for them, and there is no shelter in Frisco between 20 and 30 minutes for its citizens to even consider adopting an animal, according to the newspaper and the community impact for Frisco in 2019, one of their solutions and one of their options was that they lowered adoption fees to $10. However, they only got about 40 animals out of the shelter, which still left them at max capacity. And as I was stating, one of the ways they did was lowering adoption prices, but another way they did this was by sponsoring videos. See from that video, they really just showed you what the animal was capable of, because that makes them more adoptable for families. It's able to persuade the audience to adopt this animal. Additionally, as I have stated, the animal shelter is at max capacity, if not over max capacity, and they're euthanizing animals even though they are stated to be a no-kill shelter. They dropped adoption prices, but still it did not really help all that much. Frisco has had the contract with Collin County Animal Shelter because there is no animal shelter in the local Frisco community. And it pays about, like I said, $312,000 to $400,000 a year to keep the contract. And now it's overcrowded and they have nowhere else to go. So what's the solution? So now that I've told you about the problem, let me state my solution. By building an animal shelter in the Frisco community, it will not only allow the Frisco residents the opportunity to adopt an animal, but it will give animals better living conditions and services. Frisco is growing. Its population is exponentially increased over the last 10 years. The population currently is 156,000 people, and it has a growth rate of 6.6%, as stated on the Data USA website in 2019. I stated and had an interview with Julie Patterson, a local resident in Frisco, Texas, stating that she believed that building an animal shelter in Frisco would be a great idea in order to allow residents to adopt an animal and to give the other animals the opportunity to have a better life. And we would be able to provide veterinary services, and it would also allow more job opportunities and volunteer opportunities to students within the Frisco community. So, By building this animal shelter, there is going to be more room for animals, thus being a lower risk for euthanizing animals who don't need to be euthanized because they are healthy. As you saw from the video, Gina, who is a local resident still at the facility, is a healthy animal who knows its commands, but they're still deciding whether or not to euthanize her. So building a new shelter in Frisco would cost about $6.6 million and about $1.5 million in upkeep every year, according to a community impact newspaper online. Because of this, we have different construction sites and a lot of land now in Frisco that are being built for residential properties or different things. But there's a lot of other places that we could build this animal shelter that would provide jobs and volunteer opportunities for residents in Frisco who don't have a job or in the lower economic status in the community. Another advantage of this plan would be the fact that we are spreading awareness for these animals, because a lot of people don't even know that we have an animal shelter, quote unquote, near Frisco. The closest one, like I said, is the the Collin County Animal Service Center, and that's 20 minutes away from downtown Frisco. And we don't have one here, and a lot of people would be willing to buy animals to help save them so that they don't have to be put down. So as I conclude, the solution may take time. Stated in the newspaper, it also said that it might take until 2023, but until then we can still spread awareness of what's going on so that people would be more aware and be able to help with adoption services or go volunteer and go take the dogs out and try to help create that space for these animals. But I believe that this plan will impact and be a positive thing looking forward in Frisco's future. So as I stated, building this shelter will lead to more economic and social opportunities for its citizens. The Frisco Pet Project is a local advocacy center here in Frisco that is advocating for these animals. You can go online and learn more about their cause on friscospetproject.com. It only takes a few minutes to advocate for the lives of these animals and the community. These animals don't have a voice, and the awareness within the community is very thin. So help us fight for the livelihood of not only these animals, but the Frisco family community. Thank you.